Imagine a stormy night in a quiet African village, rain drumming on the tin roof like impatient fingers. A young nurse, fresh from school, steps off the bus, her white uniform already soaked. Her name is Sarah. She came here to heal, to bring light to the sick. But as she pushes open the clinic door, a chill runs down her back. Whispers drift from the back room, low, rhythmic, not like any prayer she's heard. A patient groans in the dark ward, pain twisting his face. And in that moment, Sarah feels it. Something wrong, something dark, something waiting. If you've ever wondered what happens when goodness steps into evil's shadow, stay with me. The nightmare is just beginning. The rain had not stopped for days, turning the village paths to thick mud. Sarah stepped down from the old bus, her heart full of excitement. This is my first real coasting, she thought. I can make a difference here. The clinic stood small and whitewashed, a sign reading Remote Village Clinic swinging in the wind. As she entered, the matron, tall, stern, with eyes like polished stones, greeted her. "Welcome, Nurse Sarah. We need fresh hands." But the air felt heavy. A patient in the ward coughed weakly, his eyes pleading. Sarah smiled at him, but he only looked away, as if afraid to hope. Days passed. Sarah worked hard, bandaging wounds, giving medicine, listening to complaints, but something nagged her. Patients improved slowly, too slowly. One woman with a simple fever paid extra special fees for stronger medicine. When Sarah asked the nurses, they smiled tightly. Tradition, one said. At night, Sarah heard low murmurs from the back room. She told herself it was nothing, but sleep came uneasy. Sleep would not come. Sarah arose, barefoot, heart thumping. The whispers grew louder as she crept down the corridor. At the back room door, she pressed her ear. Voices, low, rhythmic. The fever must last longer. The family will pay more. A soft chant followed, and a faint glow seeped under the door. Sarah's breath caught. She pushed the door just a crack. There they were, the matron and 3 nurses around a small table, a carved symbol glowing dimly. One nurse held a patient's file, marking it with a strange sign. Sarah's stomach turned. This was no medicine. This was something dark, something evil. She backed away, but her foot caught a loose board. Creak! The chanting stopped. The matron's head turned slowly. Sarah ran. The next morning, the clinic felt different. The air was thick, like before a storm, even though the rain had stopped. Sarah tried to act normal, checking temperatures, changing dressings, but her hands shook. Every time she passed the back room door, she felt eyes on her. At midday, the matron called her into the small office. The door clicked shut behind them. The matron sat straight, hands folded, voice low and calm, like she was discussing the weather. "Sarah, my dear, last night you saw something you weren't meant to see." Sarah's throat went dry. I heard voices, that's all." The matron smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Voices that heal in ways modern medicine cannot. We help the village, Sarah. We ease suffering for a small price. Join us. You could have power, respect, more than this small clinic can give. Sarah felt her heart hammer against her ribs. She thought of the farmer's pleading eyes, the woman who paid extra for nothing. No, she said, voice steadier than she felt. "I became a nurse to help people, not harm them. What you're doing is wrong." The matron's face hardened. "Wrong? The village survives because of us. Refuse and you'll see how lonely this place can be." She leaned closer, and how heavy the shadows become. Sarah stood, legs trembling. "I won't join." As she left the office, the matron's soft laugh followed her down the hall, like a promise of what was coming. Sarah tried to focus on her work, but everything felt wrong. Supplies she needed, bandages, pain medicine, vanished from the shelves. When she asked, the other nurses shrugged. "Maybe you misplaced them," one said with a smile that felt like a knife. Then came the rumors. In the village market, people whispered when she passed, "That new nurse, she's careless. Patients get worse under her care." Sarah knew who started it. She felt eyes everywhere, watching, judging. One evening, a patient she treated earlier collapsed suddenly, clutching his side. Sarah rushed to help, but the matron appeared. "Let me handle this," she said. "You've done enough." Sarah watched as the matron gave the man something from a small vial. He calmed almost instantly. The matron looked at Sarah with quiet triumph. "See, some healing requires more than books." That night, alone, in her small room behind the clinic, Sarah cried softly. "What have I stepped into?" she whispered to the darkness. But deep down, a small fire burned. She wouldn't run. Not yet. That night, sleep came in fragments. When it came, it brought horrors. In her dream, Sarah walked the clinic halls, but the walls breathed. Patients she had treated rose from beds, eyes hollow, reaching for her. "Why didn't you help us?" they whispered. Shadows coiled around her ankles, pulling. She ran, but the corridor stretched forever. She woke gasping, sweat soaking her nightdress. Her body felt heavy, drained, as if something had fed from her strength in the night. The next day, simple tasks exhausted her. Lifting a tray made her arms tremble. A headache throbbed behind her eyes. She told herself it was stress, but deep down she knew. The matron's words echoed. The shadows become heavy. Sarah sat on the clinic steps at dusk, watching the sun set over the hills. "I can't do this alone," she thought. "But who can I trust?" Then an old woman approached, the grandmother of a patient Sarah had helped secretly. "Child," the woman said quietly, "I see your fight. I have seen their kind before. Come to my hut tonight. We must talk." For the first time in days, Sarah felt a spark of hope. The sun had dipped below the hills, painting the sky in bruised purples. Sarah followed the old woman. Her name was Mama Lisa, down a narrow path lined with banana leaves that brushed her arms like soft warnings. The elder's hut was small, mud-walled, roofed with fresh thatch that smelled of earth after rain. Inside, a single kerosene lamp glowed, casting dancing shadows on woven mats. Mama Lisa motioned Sarah to sit. She poured water from a clay pot into a calabash cup, handed it over without a word. Sarah drank, the coolness steadying her trembling hands. "Child," Mama Lisa began, voice low like wind through dry grass. "I have watched this clinic for years. My daughter, she came here with a simple cough. They said it would pass. It grew worse. She paid everything we had for their special treatment. When she could pay no more, she faded. I buried her myself." Sarah's throat tightened. "I'm so sorry." Mama Lisa's eyes, cloudy with age but sharp, met hers. "They take more than money. They take life, piece by piece. That symbol you saw, it binds them to old powers, powers that feed on suffering, but they are not invincible. The light in you, it frightens them." Sarah looked down at her hands. "I feel so weak. The dreams, the tiredness. I don't know how much longer I can fight." Mama Lisa placed a wrinkled hand over hers. "You are not alone anymore. I know the signs. Tonight we begin. I will teach you how to protect yourself. Simple things from the old ways. Salt at thresholds, prayers that push back shadows, and together we gather proof. Real proof, not whispers. Evidence they cannot deny. For the first time in days, Sarah felt something warm bloom in her chest. Not full hope yet, but a spark. She nodded. Tell me what to do. As the lamp flickered low, Mama Lisa began to speak of herbs, words, and the quiet strength that lives in refusing fear. Back at the clinic the next night, Sarah felt different. Mama Lisa had given her a small pouch, salt mixed with ground herbs, a prayer whispered over it. Sprinkle at your door, the elder said. Speak the words when fear comes. Sarah did. A thin line of white across the threshold. She whispered the prayer, voice barely audible. Light surrounds me, shadows flee. Sleep came easier that night. No nightmares, no draining pull. She woke rested, surprised. But the matron noticed. During rounds, she stopped by Sarah's station, eyes flicking to the door. You look stronger today, she said, voice sweet as poison. Good. Strength is needed here. Later, as Sarah cleaned the ward, one of the younger nurses, Helen, the quiet one, slipped her a note. They know you're fighting back. Be careful. They are planning something tonight. Sarah's pulse quickened. She hid the note, but fear clawed up again. That evening, as she locked the clinic, she heard footsteps behind her in the dark corridor. She turned. Nothing. But the air felt thick, heavy. A whisper brushed her ear. You cannot win. She ran to her room, slammed the door, sprinkled more salt. The whisper stopped, but she knew this was only the beginning. With Mama Lisa's guidance, Sarah planned. We need proof they cannot deny, the elder said. Their own words, their marks. Sarah began watching closer. She noticed the nurses always met after midnight in the back room. One night, heart pounding so loud she feared they would hear, she crept to the door again, this time with a small phone recorder hidden in her pocket. She pressed record. The chanting started. The matron's voice. The merchant's fever must last 3 more days. His family will sell the land. The offering will be rich this moon. Sarah's hands shook. She got it. Clear evidence. But as she backed away, the floorboard creaked again. Louder. Inside, silence, then footsteps. Sarah ran, recorder clutched to her chest. She made it to her room, locked the door, salt line intact. But in the morning, Helen, the quiet nurse, found her. They suspect, Helen whispered. The matron asked if I had seen you near the back room. I lied, but I don't know how long I can. Sarah looked at her. Then help me, help all of us. Helen hesitated, then nodded. Tonight, I'll distract them. You get more. Sarah felt the weight, but also the strength. The trap was set. With Helen's help, Sarah knew tonight had to be the night. The matron and the others always gathered after the last patient left, when the clinic fell silent, except for the hum of cricket outside. Sarah waited in her room, heart hammering so loud she pressed her palm against her chest to quiet it. The pouch of salt and herbs from Mama Lisa rested in her pocket like a small shield. Helen had promised to create a distraction, spill something loud in the ward, draw attention away for a few precious minutes. At midnight, the whispers began again. Sarah slipped out, bare feet silent on the cool floor. She moved like a shadow down the corridor, recorder already running in her hand. She reached the back room door, left slightly ajar tonight, as if inviting her. Through the crack, she saw them, matron at the center, nurses in a tight circle, the glowing symbol brighter than before, pulsing like a heartbeat. The matron's voice carried clearly. The old chief's wife, her pain must last until they sell the last goat. The offering will be strong this moon. Another nurse added, and the new one, Sarah, she's weakening. Soon she'll beg to join or break. Sarah's stomach twisted, but she held the recorder steady. Every word was gold, every confession a nail in their coffin. Then Helen's distraction came, a loud crash in the ward, glass shattering. "Oh no, the medicine shelf!" Helen cried out. The circle broke. Nurses hurried out. The matron hesitated, eyes darting toward the door. Sarah froze. The matron stepped closer, close enough that Sarah could smell the sharp incense on her clothes. Sarah backed away slowly. 1 step, 2, her heel touched the loose board again. Creak, louder than before. The matron's head snapped toward the sound. "Who's there?" Sarah turned and ran, quiet at first, then faster, down the corridor, past the ward where Helen was pretending to clean up broken glass. Helen caught her eye for a split second, wide with fear, but nodding. "Go." Sarah burst into her room, slammed the door, locked it. She pressed her back against the wood, breathing hard, recorder clutched like a lifeline. She stopped the recording, played it back just enough to hear the matron's voice again, clear, undeniable. Tears came then, not from fear, but from something fiercer. Relief, anger, determination. "We have it," she whispered to the empty room. "We finally have it." But outside her door, soft footsteps paused, then moved away. Sarah knew they were coming for her now. The trap was closing from both sides. The next morning, Sarah didn't go to work. She went straight to Mama Lisa's hut. The elder listened to the recording, eyes narrowing with every word. "This is it," she said, "but we cannot show it quietly. The village must hear, they must see." Sarah hesitated. "If we do this in the open, they could hurt us before anyone believes." Mama Lisa smiled thinly. "Child, truth spoken in daylight has power darkness cannot touch. Call the people to the square at dusk. I will speak first, you play the truth second." Word spread quietly through trusted mouths. By dusk, the village square was full. Farmers, mothers, elders, children. Torches flickered. The air buzzed with curiosity and unease. Mama Lisa stood first, voice carrying like wind over dry fields. "For years we have suffered in silence. Tonight that ends." Sarah stepped forward, legs shaking but voice steady. She held up the phone. "Listen," she said simply. She pressed play. The matron's voice filled the square. "The fever must last. The family will sell." Gasps. Mamas turned to shouts. Faces darkened with anger. The matron arrived then, her nurses behind her, trying to look calm, but the crowd parted like water before a storm. Sarah looked straight at her. "No more," she said. "No more suffering for profit. No more shadows." The matron tried to speak over the recording. "Lies! This girl is troubled." But the crowd roared back. "Let her finish!" Sarah kept playing. Every word, every plan, every admission of greed and harm. When it ended, silence fell thick, heavy. Then the matron's own nurse, Helen, stepped forward. Her voice shook. "It's true, all of it. They made me join, but I couldn't anymore." One by one, the others cracked. Tears came. Confessions poured out. "We started small. It grew. We were afraid to stop." The matron stood alone now, face pale. The glowing symbol in her mind's eye flickered out. A man from the crowd, the farmer whose fever had lasted months, stepped up. "You took my land, my children's future." The matron dropped to her knees. "Forgive me," she whispered. "It was the power. It took us." Sarah looked at her, not with hate, but with something harder, pity. "The power you chose, not the one forced on you." The crowd didn't cheer. They simply waited. Sarah spoke last. "No more. The clinic will heal again, properly. No shadows, no prices." As the torches burned low, the matron and nurses were led away, not in chains, but in shame. The village would decide their fate later. Sarah stood in the center, exhausted but tall. The next weeks were like breathing after holding your breath too long. Patients who had suffered began to mend quickly, cleanly, no extra fees, no whispers. Sarah became matron. New nurses, kind ones from nearby villages, arrived. Laughter returned to the wards. Children played outside without fear. Sarah walked the paths now, and people greeted her with real smiles. "Thank you," they said. "You brought the light back." She thought of Mama Lisa often. The elder had passed quietly one night, peaceful, smiling. "My work is done," she had whispered. Sarah kept the pouch of salt by her door, just in case. Months passed. The clinic stood strong. Sarah talked taller. One bright morning, a new nurse arrived, young, eager, smile wide. "I'm here to help," she said. Sarah welcomed her warmly. They shook hands. The new nurse turned to unpack her bag. And in that small moment, as sunlight caught her face, her eyes glowed. Unnaturally. Scary. Sarah froze. The smile never left the new nurse's lips, but something old, something dark looked back through those eyes. What had followed her here? What was waiting now?